Chapter 3300, Earth-Shaking Battle, Part 2, The golden light was extremely dazzling. After emerging from Jian Wushuang's body, it flew directly into the void above and merged with it. Buzz! The heaven and earth suddenly shook, and then an unusually ancient and majestic treasure aura slowly spread down from the void above. As soon as this aura appeared, it instantly attracted the gazes of everyone present. It was not just the experts watching the battle outside the Soha Island. The experts from both sides who were fighting fiercely in the void at the center of the Soha Island all raised their heads in unison. Above them, the sky had completely disappeared, and was replaced by a vast and boundless painting world. This painting world was beautiful and magnificent, as if it truly existed. Within this scroll world, there were not only mountains and rivers, but also a total of 9 towering continents. The ancient and majestic aura of treasures emanated from this scroll world. This aura was so powerful that it shook the heavens, and it directly overshadowed all the auras on the battlefield. One had to know that the time-space godly palace and the 3 great saint realms were fighting against nearly 80 principles masters from both sides. These principles masters had quite a number of true treasures in their hands, and at this moment, these true treasures had already fully exerted their power. Among them, there were many domain-type true treasures, suppression-type true treasures, and so on. The aura of these true treasures filled every corner of the battlefield, but now, the aura of these true treasures paled in comparison to the aura emanating from the scroll world. The numerous principles masters from the 2 great camps, who were at the bottom of the scroll world, could not help but shudder. What is this? A true treasure? But the aura of this true treasure is way too powerful. A universe true treasure. This is a universe true treasure, and it's definitely a top-tier universe true treasure, someone exclaimed, and the entire battlefield was filled with huge waves. There were 2 types of true treasures. One type was born in the divine beginning realm, and some were born naturally. There were also some powerful master refiners who made their own true treasures. Although these true treasures were extremely powerful, they had certain limitations. The other type of true treasure was a universe true treasure. They were both true treasures, but universe true treasures only appeared in the universe battlefield. They originated from the vast universe and had unimaginable power. Compared to the true treasures born in the divine beginning realm, they were much more powerful. In the divine beginning realm, many principles masters used the first type of true treasure. As for universe true treasures, there were some who had obtained them in the universe battlefield, but they were few in number, and most of them were not of a high level. For example, the golden banner in Master Qingyin's hand was also a universe true treasure, and its power was also very impressive. However, the true treasure aura of the golden banner was clearly far from the rich aura of the scroll world above. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Scroll World, 9 Ancient Continents. This is the Mountain River Map. It is indeed the Mountain River Map, and it is one of the strongest true treasures of the ancient 7-star mysterious sect. I didn't expect it to be here. This Mountain River Map was taken out by Heavenly Sword Marquis. There were also some principles masters who had extraordinary knowledge. For example, Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, 8 Treasures Master, and the others were all extremely ancient. They had all participated in the world-ending war countless years ago. They also knew some secrets of the divine beginning realm. They recognized the scroll world above them at the first moment, and their expressions immediately became solemn. The ancient 7-star mysterious sect was truly a giant. Even though the 7-star mysterious sect had been destroyed for countless years, they were still filled with fear and respect toward the 7-star mysterious sect. And now, one of the 7-star mysterious sect's most powerful treasures had appeared here. Heavenly Sword Marquis, an immortal saint who possessed one of the 7-star mysterious sect's most powerful treasures. Of course, they understood what this meant. Not only the 3 of them, but Temple Master Bai Xing, B.A. Kang, and the others also recognized the Mountain River Map. One of the most powerful treasures of the 7-star mysterious sect is with this little guy. Temple Master Bai Xing was shocked. No wonder the 3 saint realms spared no expense to kill him. It turns out that this little guy has a close relationship with the 7-star mysterious sect. In that case, we can't let them succeed. Ba Kang's voice was cold. The appearance of Jian Wushuang's mountain river map caused a huge commotion on the battlefield. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with a fierce light as he looked at the wonderful scroll world above. "Old friend, I haven't fought with you for a long time," Jian Wushuang muttered. While chatting and laughing, he had already resonated with the scroll world above. The mountain river map had been Jian Wushuang's most powerful treasure and one of his most powerful trump cards since his last life. In his last life, when he entered the reincarnation passage, he was separated from the map for a short time. Then, by chance, he reunited with the map in this life. Previously, Jian Wushuang had used the map to fight with powerful enemies many times. However, after he broke through to the immortal saint realm, he had never used this treasure again. It was better that he did not want to use it, but he had too many concerns. After all, the level of the mountain river map was too high. As his strength became stronger and he came into contact with more and more experts, more and more people could see that the mountain river map was extraordinary. If he used the mountain river map again, it would bring him endless trouble. Therefore, he would not easily use this treasure unless it was at the last moment. When he arrived at the third sky, although he had encountered some trouble, it had not truly endangered his life. Thus, he had never used the mountain river map before. However, today, under the current situation, he could not care less. "Old friend, show your power in this world once again." Thousand Treasures Great World, Space-Time World. Wang. The power spread out, and the heaven and earth transformed. Large amounts of space-time power filled every corner of the heaven and earth. Waves of space-time storms appeared one after another. A brand new world appeared in front of everyone. The countless experts present, regardless of whether they were comprehending the principles of space-time or not, were able to sense the boundless power of space-time in their surroundings at this moment. This world revered space-time. So rich in the power of space-time principles. The many experts on the battlefield immediately felt the changes in this world, and they were all greatly shocked. After their shock, the experts of the temporal temple camp were all overjoyed, while the experts of the three great saint realms had ugly expressions on their faces. As soon as the space-time world appeared, this world only existed in the vast power of space-time laws. In such an environment, the experts who comprehended the space-time principles would be able to use more of the space-time principles, and their battle prowess would naturally be stronger. As for those experts who had not comprehended the space-time principles. Chapter 3301, World-Shaking Battle, Part 3. Experts who had never comprehended the principles of space-time were unable to sense the existence of other principles in this world of space-time. Naturally, the amount of principal energy they could mobilize would be greatly reduced, and their battle prowess would be weakened to a certain extent. However, it must be known that amongst the experts from both camps, the experts from the temporal temple had all comprehended the principles of space-time. Their battle prowess in this world of space-time would be able to display better. As for the experts from the three great saint realms, only a few of them had truly comprehended the principles of time and space, and their battle power would be weakened to a certain extent. This could reduce the gap between the powers of both sides to a large extent. It was like a powerful domain technique, which could suppress the other side's power and at the same time increase the other side's power. The difference was that domain techniques or true treasures could be used to fight with other domain true treasures of the same level, making it impossible for both sides to gain an advantage. However, the reincarnation world created by the mountain river map could directly change the world and change the surrounding environment. There was no way to use other methods to counter such a technique. The three great saint realms could not do anything about it. They could not do anything about it either. Heavenly Sword Marquis, what a great method. This world of space-time is of great help to us. Haha, everyone, let's kill them. After the principal's masters on the side of the temporal temple felt the wonders of this world of space-time, they were overjoyed and their morale soared. Originally, the temporal temple had been at an absolute disadvantage in the battle, but because of the appearance of the space-time world, the gap between the two sides became even again. That's right, it was equal. The use of the samsara world in this battle was almost comparable to the use of the 10 principals masters. However, After using the samsara world and changing the situation on the battlefield, Jian Wushuang's expression was still extremely cold. His narrow eyes faintly flickered with a fierce light. He slowly extended his right hand to the back with a clang. The Blood Mountain sword had already been unsheathed, and an extraordinary aura swept out from his body. Jian Wushuang's saint-level aura was too conspicuous on the battlefield that was filled with rule masters. Almost the moment Jian Wushuang revealed his aura, a large number of people had already looked at him. What is Heavenly Sword Marquis planning to do? He revealed his aura and pulled out his magic weapon. Is Heavenly Sword Marquis planning to fight his way into the battlefield? Fight his way into the battlefield? He is overestimating himself. After all, he is only an immortal saint. Although he defeated a Principal's Master before, that Principal's Master had just made a breakthrough and had only mastered one part of the power of will. But now, the weakest people in the battle are experts in the second void realm who have mastered two parts of the power of will. There are even experts in the third and fourth void realms. Under such circumstances, if he stupidly charged into the battlefield, he would be courting death. That's right. Now, the experts of the temporal temple are blocking the experts of the three saint realms for him. He only needs to continue to activate the experts of the temporal world to assist the temporal temple. However, if he rushes into the battlefield, the experts of the temporal temple will no longer be able to take care of him. Instead, this will give the three saint realms a chance to kill him. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Heavenly Sword Marquis shouldn't be so stupid, right? The experts watching the battle outside the Sohar Island were all discussing. However, just as they were talking about this, suddenly, Jian Wushuang, who was in the center of the battlefield and under the protection of the experts of the temporal temple, suddenly moved and directly dashed forward. This scene made the experts watching the battle widen their eyes. Is Heavenly Sword Marquis really crazy? He's an immortal saint. Does he really want to participate in the battle? He's courting death. He's courting death. Many experts said one after another. Even the experts from the temporal temple were shocked by Jian Wushuang's sudden action. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Kid, don't be rash. Ba Kang and Master Hun Yuan shouted at the same time. As for Temple Master Bai Xing, she could not pay attention to this because she was in a fierce battle with Star River Master. Otherwise, she would be angry. However, their shouting was obviously over. Jian Wushuang had appeared on the battlefield in front of him. His appearance made the 8 Principals Masters of the 3 Saint Realms on the battlefield overjoyed. Haha, this kid didn't hide among the experts of the Temporal Temple. How could he stupidly rush in front of us? Humph, since he wants to die, then he can't blame us. 7 Leaves, Calamity, you two are the closest to him. Come and kill him immediately. The rest of you, stop the Temporal Temple. The 8 Principals Masters from the 3 Saint Realms immediately divided their tasks. 6 of them were responsible for keeping the experts from the Temporal Temple busy, while 7 Leaves and Calamity took the opportunity to attack Jian Wushuang. 7 Leaves had comprehended one principle and opened his own heaven and earth mystic realm. He was an expert in the second realm of the void. As for Calamity, he had comprehended 2 rules at the same time and reached the third realm of void. The 2 people attacked one after the other. Haha, boy, die. 7 Leaves appeared in front of Jian Wushuang first. He held a double-edged axe in his hand. The double-edged axe was red as if it had just been taken out of lava. The shadow of the axe moved, and a hot and violent aura filled the sky. Whoosh! The axe shadow slashed out, and the hot power evaporated the air in front of him, forming a red light shadow that slashed toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang raised his head. When he saw the axe shadow, his pupils constricted, and his divine power surged. He immediately used his life magic power. Wushuang Sword Manual, Shi Xiong. Facing the attack of an expert in the second realm of the void, Jian Wushuang did not show any fancy moves. He directly used his most powerful attack to meet the attack. Bang! A low collision sound was heard, accompanied by a large amount of red flames that spread out in all directions. Jian Wushuang lowered his arm slightly and took a step back. However, The attack of the 7 leaves had already disintegrated, and his hand movements had also stopped temporarily. Jian Wushuang's figure flashed and disappeared in front of 7 leaves. When he reappeared, he was already behind 7 leaves. Bloody blade swordsmanship, first move of blood drop. A streak of blood-red light flashed in the void like a drop of blood. It was so cold that 7-leaf master could not help but change his expression. 7 leaves was a principal's master in the 2nd realm of the void. Naturally, he could see through Jian Wushuang's shadowless escape technique and knew that Jian Wushuang was behind him. However, the speed of Jian Wushuang's blood drop swordsmanship was too fast. Chapter 3302, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 4, Swish. The dazzling bloodlight was incredibly fast. 7 leaves could only barely swing his axe backward, barely colliding with the bloodlight. After a sound of collision, 7 leaves directly retreated to the nearby void. Jian Wushuang and 7-leaf master had a head-on confrontation. In a short moment, 7 leaves was sent flying. However, before Jian Wushuang could be happy, Calamity appeared in front of him with a golden long staff in his hand. It was so powerful, an aura that was even stronger than 7 leaves came pressing down from the Calamity's body. The power of the golden long staff in his hand suddenly soared. Like a golden thunderbolt, it crushed everything in front of it and smashed toward Jian Wushuang's head. The 3rd realm of the Void Realm? Jian Wushuang raised his head and glanced at Calamity. If it was just the 2nd realm of the Void Realm, he could easily deal with it with his own strength and life divine power. However, the 3rd realm of the Void Realm was enough for Jian Wushuang to show his trump card. Heaven-cleaving skill. Without any hesitation, Jian Wushuang immediately performed the heaven-cleaving skill. In an instant, the supreme life pressure, which came from a perfect life form, swept out from Jian Wushuang's body and swept in all directions. This supreme life pressure immediately pressed on the body of Calamity. What is this? Calamity's expression suddenly changed. He had already performed the golden longstaff, but its power was greatly weakened in an instant. Jian Wushuang had also attacked. Peerless sword technique, Emperor's blood kill, whoosh. A shocking blood-red sword shadow, with the power of Jian Wushuang's 2 wills and the monstrous power of the heaven-cleaving skill, directly attacked. As soon as the sword shadow appeared, all of a sudden, the surrounding spacetime froze. Then, endless spacetime pressure crazily pressed toward Calamity. The pressure of spacetime and the pressure of an ultimate life form were superimposed on each other. Calamity felt as if a huge mountain weighing hundreds of millions of kilograms had suddenly appeared on his body, causing his movements to slow down. Meanwhile, the golden long rod that he used was already weakened to a certain extent. At this moment, it actually weakened quite a bit. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. In the end, that shocking blood-colored sword shadow finally collided head-on with the golden thunderbolt that he used. The principal's master of the 3 realms of the void was supposed to crush the immortal saint in a head-on collision, but, bang, after the loud sound, Calamity's body shook violently. How is this possible? Calamity roared, but then he felt a sweet taste in his throat. He spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated backward. Calamity and Jian Wushuang collided head-on, but Calamity was crushed and spat out blood. How could this be? Impossible. This is impossible. My God, what did I see? An immortal saint sent 7 leaves of the void 2nd realm flying, but now has beaten Calamity of the void 3rd realm into vomiting blood with 1 sword strike? Are you kidding me? Is Heavenly Sword Marquis really just an immortal saint? The experts watching the battle outside the Sohar Island were in a daze. Their eyes were wide open in disbelief. They were already very shocked when they found out that Jian Wushuang had defeated Silver Wolf in the Bloodwave realm. However, although Silver Wolf was also a principal's master, he had just made a breakthrough and had only grasped 1 part of the power of his will. When they thought of Jian Wushuang's heaven-defying ability to cross realms, they could barely accept it. But now, Calamity was a principal's master in the 3 realms of the void. He had grasped 3 parts of the power of his will at the same time, which was far beyond Silver Wolf's ability. However, Calamity was struck by Jian Wushuang's sword until he vomited blood. How strong was Heavenly Sword Marquis? Everyone was in a state of shock, but at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Look at the sky. A sudden exclamation exploded in the void, causing many experts present to raise their heads. Jian Wushuang also sensed something and looked up at the void above. In the void above, the scroll world created by the mountain river map still existed, but in the center of the scroll world, or more accurately, in the upper part of the scroll world, a vast and surging power began to condense. This power contained a supreme aura, as if it wanted to dominate everything in the world. A supreme will had also descended. When they sensed this will's power, countless experts present were stunned. Heavenly Tao. It's the Heavenly Tao. The power of the Heavenly Tao's will? The supreme power of the Heavenly Tao's will has actually descended. The hearts of many experts surged with great waves. In the divine beginning realm, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao had always been an extremely special existence. It represented the Heavenly Tao and ruled over everything. For example, behind the three great saint realms, there were figures with the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao. And in the divine beginning realm, whenever an existence that the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate appeared, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao would appear and wipe them out. However, there were too few existences that the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate, therefore, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao rarely took the initiative to condense. However, now that the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao had arrived, and the power condensed was unprecedented, it was clear that there was an existence on the battlefield that the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate and had to be eliminated. And this existence was undoubtedly Jian Wushuang. Boom. Crack. A deafening sound reverberated in the void. The experts present felt as if their eardrums were about to burst completely. Heaven and earth had also been forcefully cracked open. A giant electric snake with a diameter of 100 meters descended from the 9 heavens. This electric snake was born for destruction. It represented the supreme will of the Heavenly Tao. It represented the power to wipe out everything. It also represented the heavenly punishment. Boom. The void shattered and collapsed crazily. Jian Wushuang stood at the center of the battlefield while the destructive electric snake directly rushed toward him. The power of the will of heaven, Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with an endless cold light. When the electric snake appeared above his head, he smiled coldly, and an indomitable fighting spirit soared into the sky. Jian Wushuang raised the Blood Mountain sword in his hands at the same time, and endless divine power gathered crazily in his hands. At this moment, he felt an unprecedented calmness in his heart. It was not the first time he faced the power of the will of heaven. Previously, he could only escape in a sorry state, but this time, he would not escape. Since heaven wants to kill me, I will kill this heaven. Chapter 3303, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 5, Whoosh. The heaven-cleaving skill was used again. The heaven-cleaving skill, in the name of heaven-cleaving, eliminated the Heavenly Tao. This was the purpose of this divine power. Countless years ago, Jian Wushuang's master Xian Yi had galloped through heaven and earth, vowing to kill this heaven. The heaven-cleaving skill he had created was not only to use the innate advantage of his perfect life as much as possible. At the same time, this divine power was specifically aimed at the first level of the power of the will of heaven. If the heaven-cleaving skill was used to fight against a cultivator, it was enough to give Jian Wushuang an additional portion of the power of the will. However, if Jian Wushuang was fighting against the heaven-cleaving skill would improve his strength far more than a portion of the power of the will could compare to. Boom. The sword light directly cut into the giant electric snake with a diameter of 100 meters. A large amount of electric light frantically spread out in all directions, but the electric snake was directly cut by the sword light from the center, this by the will of the heavenly power of the terrifying electric snake. A moment will collapse. But the sword shadow is not reduced, directly cut to the top of the endless void. There, the will of the Heavenly Tao condensed power, but with the sword light cut. World turbulence, a huge devour all of the vortex appeared out of thin air. The vortex swallowed up all the power, only slowly dissipated after a long time, and that piece of void has completely calmed down. the supreme will of the heavenly power has disappeared. 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 The power of the will of the heavenly Tao was defeated by a frontal attack? The power of the will of the heavenly Tao was defeated by a frontal attack? Only an expert of the 5th level of the void could do that, right? Heavenly Sword Marquis has the battle strength of the 5th level of the void. How is that possible? Countless people cried out in surprise. They did not dare to believe the scene in front of them. The power of the will of the heavenly Tao did not pose much of a threat to some powerful principles masters. After all, the will of the heavenly Tao itself had too many restrictions. However, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao represented the punishment of the heavens. To defeat the power of the will of heaven head-on, it indeed required the strength of the 5th void realm. However, what everyone present did not know was that although Jian Wushuang did not have the battle strength of the 5th void realm, his heaven-cleaving skill specifically targeted the power of the will of heaven. With Jian Wushuang's current strength, although he still could not fully unleash the power of the heaven-cleaving skill, even if he only used a part of it, with his current battle strength that was no less than the 3rd void realm, it was enough to disperse the power of the will of heaven. Fortunately, my strength has greatly increased in the Bloodwave Temple, and my divine power has also increased a lot. Previously, every time I used the heaven-cleaving skill, it was a huge burden for me and I could not use it again in a short period of time. But now, it is much easier for me to use the heaven-cleaving skill. After a big battle, I can barely use it a few times, Jian Wushuang muttered. After the power of the will of heaven was dispersed, Jian Wushuang looked at the surrounding battlefield again. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Kill. With a low roar, Jian Wushuang directly used the shadowless escape art and moved freely in the battlefield. The shadowless escape art was shadowless and traceless, which was extremely strange. Although everyone present was powerful and could sense his presence, his position changed surprisingly quickly. In addition to this big battle, it was a large-scale chaotic battle, with experts from both sides fighting fiercely. In such a situation, it was absolutely terrifying to have an assassin among them. Be careful. Be careful of Heavenly Sword Marquis. Bastard. Think of a way to kill him. Many experts from the 3 Saint Realms were shocked and furious. They originally had the advantage in numbers, but because of Jian Wushuang's space-time world, the gap between the two sides was completely closed. At this time, Jian Wushuang relied on his own assassination ability to wantonly assassinate on the battlefield. It made the experts of the 3 Saint Realms feel threatened. Their original goal was to kill Jian Wushuang, but now, it was difficult for them to find an opportunity to kill Jian Wushuang. If 1 or 2 people attacked alone, they could not do anything to Jian Wushuang. It could be said that because of Jian Wushuang's attack, the situation of the battle began to favor the Temporal Temple's side. However, the situation only lasted for a short while before Jian Wushuang was faced with a crisis. Little guy, you have entered the battlefield unscrupulously. Don't you think too little of the 3 Saint Realms? A gentle voice rang out, and a black-robed figure had unknowingly arrived beside Jian Wushuang. Upon hearing this voice, Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. The Sky Nether Master. That was right, it was Sky Nether Master. Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, and 8 Treasures Master led the experts to kill Jian Wushuang. Star River Master and Temple Master Baixing fought fiercely, while 8 Treasures Master fought with B.A. Kang. Only he was not a suitable opponent. After all, among the experts from the Temporal Temple, only B.A. Kang, an expert of the 5th Void Realm, was here. The other strongest Master Hunyuan was only at the peak of the 4th Void Realm. As the battle began, Sky Nether Master first fought with Master Hunyuan. With the help of the space-time world, Master Hunyuan was able to hold on for a while. However, this was because Sky Nether Master had not used his full strength. Not long after Jian Wushuang rushed into the battlefield, Sky Nether Master immediately broke away from Master Hunyuan and approached Jian Wushuang. Seeing the Sky Nether Master coming to Jian Wushuang's side, the experts of the 3 Saint Realms were naturally overjoyed. On the other hand, the people of the Temporal Temple changed their expressions. Heavenly Sword Marquis, retreat. B.A. Kang immediately shouted. Heavenly Sword Marquis, come to me. Chaos Master also shouted. In the current battlefield, only he could spare his hands to barely block the Sky Nether Master. Jian Wushuang's best choice was to approach him. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang dashed toward Master Han Yuan. Seeing this, Sky Nether Master smiled evilly. Do you want to retreat now? Is it too late? Whoosh! A black shadow whistled through the void. Like a ghost, Sky Nether Master appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. At the same time, his shriveled right hand slowly stretched out and turned into a sharp claw. It was continuously magnified in Jian Wushuang's eyes. Jian Wushuang instantly sensed the difference in strength between the two. He could not resist the claw at all. Seeing that the Sky Nether Master's sharp claw was about to grab his head, Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold. A crystal pearl had appeared in his hand out of nowhere. The surface of the pearl contained a layer of special power. Jian Wushuang exerted force with his wrist and directly crushed the pearl. In an instant, a surge of power burst out from the exploded pearl. Chapter 3304, World-Shaking Battle, Part 6, Splash. A large amount of water mist spread out from the pearl. The water mist covered heaven and the earth and contained an extremely strange power. It swept out crazily in the surroundings. The sharp claws of the Sky Nether Master were about to touch Jian Wushuang, but because of the appearance of the water mist, the sharp claws seemed to be grabbing onto a ball of cotton. There was no point of force, and the water mist spread crazily. In the blink of an eye, half of the battlefield was filled with mist, forming a huge world of mist. The Sky Nether Master looked at the mist world around him and his pupils shrank. Shueyun. Humph, boy, I didn't expect you to have some relationship with Palace Master Shueyun of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Unfortunately, it's useless. If Palace Master Shuyun's original body was here, I would be a little afraid. But now, it's only a part of the power left in his special treasure. How can it hurt me and him? Sky Nether Master smiled coldly, and a large amount of dark light immediately rose from his body. Under the guidance of Jian Wushuang, the vast and majestic the world of Shueyun was, that it crazily swept toward Sky Nether Master. In the blink of an eye, it completely enveloped him because the water fog was dangerous to block. No one knew what happened in the center of the Shueyun world. Everyone present could only hear a low rumble coming from the Shueyun world. After a while, the sounds disappeared, and the huge water mist world slowly began to dissipate, revealing the scene inside. Sky Nether Master stood in the void that was previously covered by the water mist. However, his expression was a little gloomy, and his robes were also damaged. He looked a little miserable. As expected of the famous secret technique of Palace Master Shueyun. The power of this Shueyun world is really amazing. Sky Nether Master was secretly amazed. Palace Master Shueyun of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance was at the peak of the 5 void realms like him. However, Palace Master Shueyun had obtained a powerful secret skill, the Shueyun world. With this secret skill, Palace Master Shueyun could fight an expert of the 6 void realms head-on. In terms of overall strength, he was naturally stronger than him. For example, even if Palace Master Shuyun's original body had not been present, the Shueyun world that he had left in the bead still made him quite embarrassed in a short period of time. While the master was trapped in the Shueyun world, Jian Wushuang had found an opportunity to join hands with Master Han Yuan. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you really have a lot of trump cards. Previously, you took out the Universe Supreme Treasure, the Mountain River map, and now, you even took out a treasure that contains the attack of Palace Master Shueyun. Han Yuan Master looked at Jian Wushuang. Not bad. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. The Heaven-Cleaving Alliance thought highly of him. They had let him enter the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm and later found out that he was in a dangerous situation. They had specially given him some life-saving methods, including 2 beads and a purple bamboo leaf. Now, he had only used one of the beads. In terms of life-saving trump cards, he still had a lot of them. Heavenly Sword Marquis, step back a little. Leave the Sky Nether Master to me, Master Han Yuan said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. He knew that with his current strength, he could at most face an expert at the 3rd realm of the void. But against an expert at the peak of the 5th realm of the Enlightenment realm like the Sky Nether Master, He was nothing, he could only flee in embarrassment. Sky Nether Master, I'll be your opponent. Master Hunyuan fluttered his robe and stood in front of the Sky Nether Master. You think you can stop me? The Sky Nether Master smiled coldly. Previously, he had not used his full strength, which was why the Sky Nether Master could barely hold him back. But now, get lost. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. With a sharp whistle, the Sky Nether Master's body suddenly expanded. He was originally the size of a normal human, but in the blink of an eye, he had transformed into a boundless divine eagle. The divine eagle's body was pitch black, and its feathers were as sharp as blades. The surroundings were also surrounded by pitch black world-destroying lightning. Shio! The divine eagle pounced down fiercely as if it was hunting its prey. Its two sharp claws clawed out at the same time, and its frenzied fingertips swept through the void, causing the air to produce the sound of being torn apart. Not good. Master Hunyuan's expression changed. The instant the divine eagle pounced down, he had already felt a power that made him feel suffocated. This power was clearly not something he could withstand. Bang! With a loud sound, Hunyuan's body trembled. That sharp claw seemed to want to tear his divine body apart. At the same time, a large amount of black world-destroying lightning from that sharp claw came toward him. In an instant, it covered his entire body. Crackling thunder rumbled. Master Hunyuan's divine body was also heavily injured at this moment. Blood flowed out from his mouth. Who? The condor let out a strange laugh, and then a huge force hit down like a mountain, sending the whole figure of Master Hunyuan flying. In the process of exchanging blows with the Sky Nether Master, and Master Hunyuan, who was at the pinnacle of the four states of the void, was actually sent flying by the Sky Nether Master. Heavenly Sword Marquis, die. The black divine eagle, which had sent Master Hunyuan flying, shot toward Jian Wushuang with killing intent in its eyes. T. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. He did not expect that Master Hunyuan would be sent flying so easily by Sky Nether Master. Without Master Hunyuan's protection, he would not be able to face Sky Nether Master alone. However, Jian Wushuang had been through countless storms. Even when he was in danger, he did not panic at all. Instead, he was absolutely calm. When he saw that the black divine eagle was approaching him without any obstruction, he immediately took out the second bead. The first bead was refined by Palace Master Shueyun. The second bead came from Palace Master Askance. As the black figure got closer and closer, Jian Wushuang was about to crush the bead, but at this moment, Sky Nether, you have been an old man for God knows how many years, but you actually attacked a little guy at the level of immortal saint. Aren't you going too far? A slightly evil voice suddenly sounded on the battlefield. The black divine eagle that was originally charging over at high speed immediately stopped the moment it heard this voice. The divine eagle dissipated and revealed the gaze of the Sky Nether Master once again. However, at this moment, the expression of the Sky Nether Master had become exceptionally grave. His eyes were also staring fixedly at the person who had appeared in front of him. This person was a strange old man with a scarlet cape. The old man's face was thin, and he had a hooked nose. His eyes were very small, just like the eyes of a mouse. Moreover, his eyes were slightly narrowed, giving off an extremely shrewd appearance. The evil smile on the old man's lips made his entire person seem even more evil. Ah! Sky Nether Master's voice was low and deep fear was revealed from the depths of his eyes. Chapter 3305, World-Shaking Battle, Part 7, On the battlefield, the two camps were in a heated battle. However, when the weird old man with the scarlet cape appeared on the battlefield, the huge battlefield suddenly quieted down. Countless gazes were focused on the weird old man. Most of them were shocked. Elder Darkbone, it's Elder Darkbone. It's him. This old monster is said to be from the same era as the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple, and the Heavenly Ancestor. He has lived for so many years, and it was said that he had gone to the depths of the universe battlefield to explore. I didn't expect that he would still stay in the divine beginning realm. What is this old monster doing here? Exclamations sounded from the crowd around the battlefield. Elder Dark Bone, who was wearing a scarlet cape, looked around the crowd with his small eyes. He heard the discussions around the battlefield, and the smile on his face grew wider. I didn't expect that after so many years, there would still be people who know my name. It's really rare. Elder Dark Bone. Sky Nether Master looked straight at him. Today's matter is a competition between our 3 great saint realms and the temporal temple. It shouldn't have anything to do with you, right? It doesn't matter. Indeed, it doesn't have anything to do with me. Unfortunately, although I don't want to interfere, I can't overpower my disciples' every request. Elder Dark Bone revealed a helpless expression. His gaze was looking at a corner outside the battlefield. Di Hao, Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, and other experts from the temporal temple were standing there. However, there was one other person besides them. Your disciple? The Sky Nether Master was stunned. He followed Elder Darkbone's gaze and looked at the figure. Jian Wushuang, who was standing behind Elder Darkbone, immediately looked over. He raised his eyebrows when he saw him. The person whom Elder Darkbone was looking at was the Underworld Emperor, who had befriended Jian Wushuang in the Bloodwave realm. Haha, brother Heavenly Marquis, I owe you a favor. Now, you can return it to me. A proud smile appeared on Underworld Emperor's face as his voice spread. Underworld Emperor's master is Elder Darkbone? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Previously, he had obtained the 2nd Bloodwave token in the Bloodwave realm. At that time, Underworld Emperor had given him a favor in exchange for the token. At that time, Jian Wushuang also learned that Underworld Emperor had an extraordinary master behind him. Even the Temporal Temple would not dare to underestimate this master. It was because of this that Temple Master Bai Xing had asked him to agree to the exchange with the Underworld Emperor. Now, Jian Wushuang finally met the Underworld Emperor's master, Elder Darkbone. Although Jian Wushuang had never heard of Elder Darkbone before and did not know how strong he was, but he was also called Underworld Bone Master. Just from the importance that Temple Master Bai Xing placed on him, Jian Wushuang could guess that Elder Darkbone must be very powerful. Otherwise, Elder Darkbone would not be so fearful of him. I have lived for so many years and have no family in this world. I don't even have any good friends. Not long ago, I finally took a fancy to a little guy and accepted him as my personal disciple. It can be said that this little guy is my only family in this world. Therefore, I doted on this little guy, Elder Darkbone said with a wicked smile. This kid, Heavenly Sword Marquis, has helped my disciple in the Bloodwave realm and made him owe him a favor. Of course, I have to pay him back. Sky Nether, if you want to kill him, you have to go through me. Sky Nether Master's face suddenly turned ugly. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Among the 3 experts of the Saint Realm, only he had the time to kill Jian Wushuang. Although the Temporal Temple was blocked, he did not care even if Hunyuan Master appeared, but now, the appearance of Elder Darkbone. Elder Darkbone was an old monster from the same era as the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor. Not long ago, when the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor had not reached the supreme level, Elder Darkbone was worthy of his name. Even Sky Nether Master, who had reached the 6th realm of the Void Realm, would be suppressed by such an extraordinary existence. Elder Darkbone, although I really don't want to fight with you, Heavenly Sword Marquis must die. Therefore, I can only come to you for advice. Sky Nether Master's expression was solemn. He had forcefully mustered his courage to say these words. Very good. Coincidentally, it has been a long time since I last fought. Let's warm up today. Elder Darkbone smiled slightly, appearing calm and collected. Kill. Sky Nether Master did not waste any more words and directly attacked. Screech. The huge black godly eagle once again appeared between heaven and earth. The surface of the godly eagle's body was surrounded by a large amount of world-destroying lightning. It swooped down and appeared in front of Elder Darkbone in the blink of an eye. A sharp claw slashed out like lightning. It was incomparably swift and fierce. Elder Darkbone had his hands behind his back. It was only when the sharp claw was about to touch his godly body that he slowly stretched out his hand and casually waved it. This wave was like chasing away a fly. It did not seem to contain much power, but after he waved his hand, a gust of wind suddenly whistled. This gust of wind easily shattered the space, and it also blew away the power condensed by the black godly eagle at the first moment. The attack of Sky Nethermaster was directly disintegrated, and even the black godly eagle that he had formed was directly dispersed. Sky Nethermaster's figure once again appeared in heaven and earth, but the depths of his eyes were filled with shock. It was not just him, but all the experts watching the battle in the surroundings were greatly shocked. With a casual wave of his hand, Sky Nethermaster's attack was directly disintegrated, and even the black godly eagle that Sky Nethermaster had formed with his secret technique was directly dissipated. What kind of technique is this? It's too powerful. The Sky Nether is like a baby in front of him. This is Elder Darkbone. Although he is only at the peak of the 6th realm of the Void Realm, his strength and skills are unfathomable. It is said that even if he meets the 3 masters of the Saint Realm, he can barely hold on for a while in a one-on-one situation. But to kill him, even the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple, and the Heaven Ancestor can't do it themselves. Around the battlefield, many experts were amazed. Jian Wushuang was also shocked. No wonder Temple Master Bai Xing said that Underworld Emperor's favor was worth a Bloodwave token. His master is so powerful, Jian Wushuang murmured. He was glad that he had agreed to exchange conditions with Underworld Emperor and made friends with him, so he had such a powerful ally in this battle. Chapter 3306, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 8, On the battlefield. Because of the appearance of Elder Darkbone, he had completely suppressed the Sky Nether Master, so no one from the 3 Saint Realms had the time to deal with Jian Wushuang. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang relied on the shadowless escape art and the assassination method of the bloody sword art to move freely on the battlefield, which brought great trouble to the rule masters of the 3 Saint Realms. The situation on the battlefield was once again in a stalemate. The people of the 3 Saint Realms have been stalled. If this situation continues, the 3 Saint Realms will probably come back empty-handed again. There's no other way. The 3 Saint Realms are already very clever and have sent out many experts. The Temporal Temple could not completely block them, but who would have thought that Heavenly Sword Marquis would have a treasure like the Mountain River map, which greatly improved the strength of the experts of the Temporal Temple. The appearance of Elder Darkbone is probably beyond the expectations of the 3 Saint Realms. No, I don't think it's that simple. When the 3 Saint Realms decided to make their move, they must have already made preparations. Naturally, they have their own ways to deal with this situation. Just wait and see. The methods of the 3 Saint Realms are definitely not that simple. Right, I think so too. After all, they are the 3 Saint Realms. The surrounding experts casually chatted and expressed their own views on the current situation. Some people felt that the 3 Great Saint Realms had exhausted all their tricks, but more people felt that the 3 Great Saint Realms had more tricks up their sleeves. As expected, not long after Elder Darkbone appeared on the battlefield, the stalemate on the battlefield was once again broken by someone. Keek tilde, everyone from the 3 Great Saint Realms, I wonder if we are too late? A sinister and evil laughter suddenly sounded from the void next to the battlefield. Everyone looked over when they heard the sound and immediately saw the void. A total of 8 figures were rushing over. The 8 figures were all covered in black robes, and their appearances could not be seen. However, from the aura they emitted, it seemed that these 8 people were all Principal's masters, and their strength was extraordinary, especially the person in the lead. The aura emitted from their bodies was not much weaker than that of Sky Nether Master and 8 Treasures Master, who were at the pinnacle of the 5 states of the void. You guys came just in time, huh? Sky Nether Master glanced at the 8 figures as he tried his best to defend against Elder Darkbone's attack. Haha, I'm sorry. I met with some matters on the way and was delayed. However, everyone, don't worry. Since the sect master has already agreed to act, he won't go back on his words. The black-robed man in the lead laughed strangely. Sect master? Everyone present was stunned before they immediately understood. The Sorcerer God sect. It's the Sorcerer God sect. Good heavens, even the Sorcerer God sect has interfered. Moreover, It seems like the Sorcerer God sect has reached some sort of agreement with the three great saint realms. This time, the Sorcerer God sect is standing on the side of the three great saint realms and is also here for Heavenly Sword Marquis. After knowing the identity of the person who came, the crowd around the battlefield once again burst into an uproar. Although the Sorcerer God sect was far from being as powerful and terrifying as the three great Freedom Alliance and the three great saint realms in the Divine Beginning realm, the Sorcerer God sect's methods were brilliant, and they also had terrifying strength. They had always been in existence that the experts from all the forces in the Divine Beginning realm were deeply afraid of. In the Divine Beginning realm, almost no force or expert was willing to deal with the Sorcerer God sect. But now, the experts of the Sorcerer God sect had also rushed to the battlefield and stood in the camp of the three great saint realms. And just as the 8 experts of the Sorcerer God sect had arrived at the battlefield, 9 figures with thick auras were also rushing over from the void on the other side. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Among the 9 figures, 6 of them were women. They were all extremely beautiful, especially the 2 in the lead. One was extremely beautiful and charming, while the other was demure and enchanting like a saintess. However, at this moment, the eyes of the 2 beautiful women were bursting with a shocking killing intent. Heavenly Sword Marquis, give me back my 6th sister's life. A cold, low voice reverberated between the heaven and earth. From the low voice alone, everyone knew that the person was also coming to kill Jian Wushuang. I know that enchanting woman in red. She's the 3rd princess of the Ninetail clan, Dau. Next to her is her sister, Su. The Ninetail clan, one of the 4 great divine clans. Why are they here? And they want to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis? It's the 9 Palace Saintess. The Ninetail clan is here for her. 9 Palace Saintess? At the mention of her name, all the experts present came to a sudden realization. In the Bloodwave realm, Jian Wushuang killed the 9 Palace Saintess, who was ranked 5th on the True Saint list and became famous in the Divine Beginning realm. At that time, many people guessed that she was from the Nine-Tailed clan. However, the 9 Palace Saintess herself did not admit it, so the introduction of the 9 Palace Saintess on the True Saint list had always been suspected of being from the Nine-Tailed clan. Judging from the current situation, the 9 Temple Saintess was not only a member of the Ninetail clan, but also the 6th princess of the Ninetail clan. The princess was the daughter of the Grandmaster of the Ninetail clan. No wonder the Ninetail clan had come to kill her. Sorry to trouble you. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. After killing the 9 Temple Saintess, he had learned through Miss Xiao that the 9 Temple Saintess was the daughter of the Grandmaster of the Ninetail clan. He had guessed that the Ninetail clan would definitely seek revenge on him. However, he did not expect the Nine-Tailed clan to be so fast. Moreover, they just happened to catch up with the 3 great saint realms. Now, because of the arrival of many experts from the Sorcerer God sect and the Nine-Tailed clan, the situation on the battlefield immediately changed dramatically. Everyone from the Nine-Tailed clan, the Sorcerer God sect and the 3 great saint realms are responsible for tangling the temporal temple. As for Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'll leave him to you to kill. How about it? The black-robed leader of the Sorcerer God sect said. Okay, Dau agreed without thinking. Heavenly Sword Marquis, die. Boom. A monstrous aura suddenly swept out. 9 powerful principals masters of the 9 clans rushed into the battlefield and immediately charged toward Jian Wushuang. Although there were no experts in the 5 void realms who were as powerful as the Heaven Underworld Master or the 8 Treasures Master, the 2 leaders, Dau and Su, were in the 4 void realms. Especially Dau, who had reached the peak of the 4th void realm. In addition to the other experts in the 2nd and 3rd void realm, this battle strength was obviously not something Jian Wushuang could withstand alone. Buzz. Heaven and earth shook. Before the experts of the Nine-Tailed clan arrived in front of Jian Wushuang, a majestic power had already enveloped him. Soul attack. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. The Nine-Tailed clan was best at charm and soul. Chapter 3307, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 9, _Oh no. Jian Wushuang's face suddenly changed. If it was just a simple soul attack, Jian Wushuang would not take it to heart. His physique was special, so any soul attack would be ineffective against him. Even if it completely destroyed his soul, he could instantly repair it. However, if his opponent's soul attack was accompanied by the charm skill, it would be completely different. The charm skill was not aimed at the human soul, but at the consciousness. Jian Wushuang had experienced the charm skill of the Nine-Tailed clan. Previously, in the Bloodwave realm, the charm skill of the Nine Palace Saintess alone could not affect him. But now, the charm skill was used by Dau, who had reached the fourth realm of the void. The charm was many times stronger than the charm of the Nine Temple Saintess. Even though Jian Wushuang's state of mind was very strong, under the charm of Dau, his state of mind was shaken and his consciousness was about to fall into a daze. But before his consciousness fell into a daze, he had already taken out the second bead. As the bead broke, the shocking power contained in it immediately burst out. Of the two beads that the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance had given him, one was refined by Palace Lord Xueyun and had already been used up by him. As for the current bead, it was refined by Palace Lord Askance. Palace Lord Askance was ranked second among the 3 Palace Lords of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. In terms of strength, he was even stronger than Palace Lord Xueyun. Furthermore, Palace Lord Xuyun's strongest secret art, the Xueyun world, more or less had the effect of trapping and entangling the enemy. Its true might was not particularly powerful, but Palace Lord Askance was famous for his absolute offensive techniques. Rumble tilde 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 the world trembled as endless black air waves surged up. These black air waves were like rolling devil clouds. These devil clouds crazily gathered together, forming an extremely enormous devil might. The devil might was imposing, suppressing everything in the surroundings. And in the center of this devil might, a black devil god that was 30 feet tall was condensed. What is this? What a terrifying demonic aura. Isn't this pressure a little too strong? I've seen this demonic god before. This is the heaven-seeking demonic god, one of the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. It's the heaven-seeking demonic god's famous ultimate move. Heaven-seeking demonic god. This is the heaven-seeking demonic god. What a good fellow. Previously, it was Palace Master Xuyun's famous ultimate move. Now, it's the heaven-seeking Palace Master's famous ultimate move. What is the relationship between Heavenly Sword Marquis and the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance? The experts spectating the battle were all staring in shock at the black demonic god that appeared in the middle of the battlefield. Askance Palace Lord was named after him. This move was even more famous than Xueyun Palace Lord's Xueyun World. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Askance Palace Lord, Dau, Dasu, and the principals masters of the Nine-Tailed race all frowned as they looked at the black demonic god. Ask Heaven Empyrean was a peak existence that they did not have the qualifications to interact with. PH. How about Ask Heaven Fiend Celestial? You killed my 6th sister. Even if Ask Heaven Empyrean from the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance were to personally come, you will still die. Dau's voice was cold, her eyes suffused a demonic green light. This green light burst forth like a green sun that illuminated the entire world. Suddenly, the green light turned into a huge green light beam and shot directly at the Azura demon god. This move, Jian Wushuang's pupils shrank slightly. He had seen the same move from the 9 Temple Saintess, but the power of this move was obviously much stronger. It was not surprising that this move should be the inheritance secret skill of the Nine-Tailed clan. Just like Jian Wushuang was a member of the ancient clan in his previous life, some of the ancient clan's inheritance secret skills were very powerful. The Nine-Tailed clan was ranked as one of the 4 great divine clans as well as the ancient clan, so their strength was naturally extraordinary. The inheritance secret skill of the Nine-Tailed clan, of course, was not weaker than that of the ancient clan. The power of this inheritance secret skill was so strong that it could even pose a threat to some experts of the 5 void realms. However, the one standing in front of Dau was Askance Demon God, the famous move of Askance Palace Master. At this moment, Jian Wushuang had regained his consciousness. He looked at the green beam of light and his eyes flashed. He immediately began to guide Azura Demon God. Break. With a low roar, Azura demon god, who was 3 meters tall, looked cold and emotionless. Under Jian Wushuang's guidance, Azura demon god threw a punch forward. This punch was extremely brutal and contained endless demonic power. In an instant, it smashed into the green light. Boom! The void trembled. Without any suspense, the green light was smashed into pieces and spread out in all directions. Then Azura demon god took another step forward and threw another punch. This punch was aimed at all the people of the Ninetail clan. Attack together! Dau growled. Immediately, 9 experts from the nine-tailed race, including Dau and Dasu, took action to block the punch. However, under the punch that contained demonic might, the 9 figures retreated explosively. With just one punch, the 9 principals masters from the nine-tailed race were sent flying. This was the strongest heaven-seeking fiend celestial of the heaven-seeking palatial lord. So strong. This is askance sky demon god. Too strong. The power of one punch is actually so terrifying. The surrounding experts who were watching the battle could not help but exclaim in amazement when they saw the scene on the battlefield. The nine-tailed race members had already steadied themselves, but most of them had ugly expressions on their faces. Is this the askance sky demon god that Mother mentioned? He is really strong, Dasu said in a deep voice. He is very strong. However, this heaven-seeking fiend celestial is merely a technique left behind by the heaven-seeking palace lord. It is not something that the heaven-seeking palace lord can personally use. Although its might is equally powerful, every time the heaven-seeking fiend celestial uses an attack, it consumes a large amount of energy. The energy that this heaven-seeking fiend celestial has condensed is not much. At most, it can only use a few more attacks before its energy is completely depleted. We don't need to fight it head-on. We just need to force it to use up its strength, said Dau. Everyone from the nine-tailed clan nodded. Let's go. Soon, the 9 members of the nine-tailed clan attacked again. Jian Wushuang had no choice but to lead the Azura demon god to fight. However, just as Dau had said, the Azura demon god was only one of the skills left in the pearl by Palace Master Azura. As the number of attacks increased, the power of the Azura demon god would be depleted. It would not last long. Without askance demon god, it would be difficult for him to deal with the nine-tailed clan alone. However, there was good news. While Jian Wushuang was fighting the nine-tailed clan with askance demon god, Temple Master Baixing secretly told him that reinforcements from the Temporal Temple were coming. Chapter 3308, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 10. The Temporal Temple also had reinforcements. They were the 10-man team of Master Lin Guang, who had just returned to the Divine Beginning Realm and had been exploring the universe battlefield. After receiving the message from Temple Master Baixing, Master Lin Guang rushed to the Soha Island as fast as he could. While the battle was still in its climax, Jian Wushuang had stopped the nine-tailed clan members with the help of Azura demon god. Lin Guang Master's 10-man team finally arrived at the battlefield. This 10-man team had been to the universe battlefield before. The universe battlefield was so dangerous that ordinary Principals Masters did not dare to go there. Only Principals Masters who had reached the 3rd realm of the Void Realm dared to go there. Only when they formed a team with others would they dare to go to the universe battlefield. Thus, Lin Guang Master's 10-man team was generally made up of Principals Masters who had reached the 3rd level of the Void Realm and above. There were also 3 who had reached the 4th level of the Void Realm, especially Lin Guang Master, who was in the lead. His strength was not any weaker than Ba Kang's. He was an expert of the 5th level of the Void Realm. The appearance of the 10-man team on the battlefield changed the situation once again. After Jian Wushuang's Azura demon god's power was completely exhausted, Lin Guang Master and the other 2 Principals Masters of the 4th realm of the Void came to him. Little guy, go to the back. Leave the nine-tailed clan to us, Lin Guang Master, who had silver hair and a graceful figure, said gently. Thank you, Master Lin Guang. Jian Wushuang nodded gratefully and immediately retreated. Where do you think you're going? Dau and Dasu of the Ninetail clan looked grim. They were about to give chase. Haha, your opponents are us, Master Lin Guang laughed. Two other experts of the Void Fourth Realm from his team followed him. Although there were only 3 of them, they were able to easily stop the Nine-Tailed Principal's master of the Nine-Tailed race. No matter what methods the Nine-Tailed race used, they were unable to get rid of Lin Guang Master and the other 2. On the other battlefield, the intense battle between Star River Master and Baixing Hall Master was nearing its end. Scram! With a low shout, Baixing Hall Master clapped his hands. Space-time, fire, and earth, 3 types of principal energy stirred wildly at this moment, condensing into a 3-colored phoenix in the blink of an eye. This 3-colored phoenix did not emit the slightest bit of power. This was the perfect embodiment of Palace Master Baixing's control over all his energy. After which, this 3-colored phoenix opened its mouth and directly collided with the Star River Master in front of it. This collision shattered the boundless darkness where Star River Master was. A muffled groan suddenly sounded in the boundless darkness. Immediately after, Star River Master's somewhat miserable figure shot out from the boundless darkness. After a long while, the Star River Lord's figure finally regained his footing. His face also carried a trace of paleness as he gritted his teeth and stared fixedly at the Baixing Hall Master. Star River, you're really something. After all these years, although your fighting style is still the same as before, your use of the rules has risen to a higher level than before. In particular, you've also made a new breakthrough in your ultimate move. You're really something. H. Do you think that after all these years, I really haven't improved at all? Palace Master Baixing sneered. Many years ago, she had fought with Star River Master. At that time, she had just broken through to the 6th level of the Void, but she had relied on her advantage in terms of realm to forcefully suppress Star River Master. And after so many years, Star River Master had also broken through to the 6th level of the Void, but her strength had also increased quite a bit. It was just that she had not shown it at the beginning. With Heavenly Sword Marquis Spacetime World and Elder Darkbone rushing over to help, now that Lin Guang Master's 10-man team has also arrived at the battlefield, just their current combat strength alone is enough to deal with the 3 great Saint Realms, the Sorcerer God Sect, and the Nine-Tailed Clan. It won't be long before those 4 old fellows from Quiet Moon Abyss also arrive at the battlefield. When that time comes, the overall situation will be set. Temple Master Baixing clenched his fists. The Temporal Temple was at an absolute disadvantage in this battle. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. After all, they were fighting against the 3 Saint Realms at the same time, so their battle strength was not proportional to each other at the beginning. However, Jian Wushuang had a universe supreme treasure like the Mountain River map in his hands, and he could also use the Spacetime World. When the Spacetime World appeared, it was comparable to the battle strength of more than a dozen Principal's Masters, which equaled the battle strength of both sides. Then, Elder Darkbone appeared, and Jian Wushuang's own trump card was also very powerful. The 3 Saint Realms were unable to kill him at the first moment until now. Lin Guang Master's team had arrived. Now, if the 3 Saint Realms did not have any other backup plans, then the Spacetime Temple was already confident of victory in this battle. Galaxy, it seems that this time, the 3 Saint Realms will return empty-handed. Temple Master Baixing sneered and stared at Galaxy Master. The battle isn't over yet. That Heavenly Sword Marquis is still trapped by us. Isn't it too early for you to say this? Star River Master snorted. Oh, is that so? Palace Master Baixing suddenly gave a strange smile. She had already received the message that the 4 Masters of Tranquil Moon Abyss had arrived. Who? A gust of violent wind suddenly swept across the battlefield. The violent wind swept across, containing a majestic power. It actually directly blew the weaker Principal's Masters on the battlefield to the side. Even the stronger Principal's Masters were only barely able to stand firm under the violent wind. The violent wind swept across the entire battlefield, causing the fierce battle between the 2 camps to stop. Only then did the violent wind slowly calm down. After the violent wind calmed down, everyone immediately looked over, only to discover that 4 more figures had appeared in the middle of the battlefield. These 4 figures were from left to right. The first was a short hunchbacked old man. This hunchbacked old man's gaze was cold, and there was a cold smile at the corner of his mouth. His body was also surrounded by a strange layer of black fog. The black fog also emitted a stench that made people shudder. The second person had white hair and white eyebrows. His eyebrows were extremely long, and they were so long that they reached his chin. His eyes were very small, and his gaze was turbid. His expression was also extremely cold, as if he did not care about anything in his surroundings at all. What was worth noting was that there was a dark red dot between his brows. This dark red dot seemed to contain an endless divine might. The third person looked like a child. He was about the size of a child and looked about the same as an 8 or 9-year-old child. His skin was fair and his hair was tied into a small braid. On his chubby face, there was a playful smile. His gaze swept across the crowd with incomparable craftiness. Anyone who was swept by his gaze felt as if they were being targeted by a devil. The last person was an old woman wearing a silver robe and holding a walking stick with the head of a snake. This old woman's body was covered with traces of hiding. Her body was also filled with a deathly aura, as though she could die at any moment. Chapter 3309. The Four Ancient Immortals: the short, skinny, hunchbacked old man, the white-haired, white-browed, indifferent middle-aged man, the fair-skinned, tender-looking boy, and the lifeless old woman. All four of them were extremely strange, and when these four people gathered together, it was extremely strange. However, when these four people appeared on the battlefield, the huge battlefield immediately quieted down. Whether it was the principal's masters from the two camps on the battlefield or the many experts watching the battle from outside the battlefield, they all looked at these four people with shocked expressions. Among the many experts, most of them did not know who these four people were, so they had doubts and curiosity in their hearts. However, there were still a few people on the field who recognized these four people at once. However, because they recognized them and knew their identities, they were even more shocked. Four ancient immortals. They are four ancient immortals. Oh my God, it's these four old monsters. The four ancient immortals who followed the temporal temple and roamed the divine beginning realm billions of years ago are still alive. It's one thing for them to be alive, but why are they still in the divine beginning realm? With their strength, they should have ventured into the depths of the universe battlefield. Exclamations suddenly rang out in the world. Those experts who had not recognized the four before heard the words, "Four ancient immortals," from the exclamations, and the entire crowd was completely shocked. Four ancient immortals. Even Jian Wushuang was shocked. He had not been in the third firmament for long, so he did not know much about the experts in the divine beginning realm. He should not have known about such an ancient existence, but the four ancient immortals were from the temporal temple. They had left something in the true martial mystic realm of the temporal island, so Jian Wushuang knew about their existence. The four ancient immortals, like Elder Dark Bone, were experts from the same era as the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor. The Temporal Temple had created the Temporal Temple with great means and fought everywhere. It had a large number of experts under its command, and the four ancient immortals were the strongest and most famous. Any one of them was at the level of the 6 void realms, and almost all of them were at the peak of the 6 void realms. To put it bluntly, in terms of strength, any one of them was stronger than the Bai Xing Hall Master and the Galaxy Lord. The only one who could contend against them in a one-on-one fight, and perhaps even slightly stronger than them, was Elder Dark Bone. However, although Elder Dark Bone was strong, he was only one person. On the other hand, the four ancient immortals were four people. Moreover, the four of them had fought together under the Temporal Temple back then, and their relationship was very close. At that time, the Temporal Temple Master had specially researched a set of joint attack array formation for them. Once this joint attack array formation appeared, it was completely capable of sweeping away Principal's masters. Even old monster Abyssal Bone could only retreat in front of the four of them. There were even rumors in the outside world that if the four ancient immortals joined forces, they would have the ability to fight head-on even if they encountered a Saint Realm Master. Although this was only a rumor and had not been confirmed, since there was such a rumor, then even if the four ancient immortals could not reach this point, it would not be too far off. In the center of the battlefield, after clearly seeing the identity of the person who came, The expressions of the experts from the three great saint realms all became unsightly. The four ancient immortals are actually the four of them. Galaxy Master's expression was gloomy. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. We are in big trouble. Any one of these four old monsters is in existence at the peak of the 6 states of the void. In a one-on-one fight, none of us are a match for them. And if the four of them join forces, they might be able to completely wipe us out. Sky Nether Master also secretly gritted his teeth. It's a pity that almost all of the top experts of our three great saint realms have gone to the universe battlefield to explore. It's really hard to find an existence in the divine beginning realm that can fight against the four ancient immortals. 8 Treasures Master frowned. The three great saint realms were also the overlords of the divine beginning realm. Their foundation and strength were naturally not much weaker than the temporal temple. However, whether it was the three great saint realms or the top forces of the divine beginning realm, very few of the truly top experts would always stay in the divine beginning realm. Most of the top experts would choose to go to the universe battlefield after their strength reached a certain level. They would choose to venture into the universe battlefield. This kind of adventure was not going to the periphery of the divine beginning realm. They could return at any time. Most of the top experts would choose to venture deeper into the universe battlefield, into those unknown territories. Once they ventured into the depths of the universe battlefield to explore, it would be very difficult for them to return within a short period of time. There were even some who ventured deeper into the universe and never returned. Almost all of the top principals masters of the three great saint domains had gone to the depths of the universe battlefield. Otherwise, with the foundations of the three great saint realms, they would be able to send out experts who could contend against the four ancient immortals. 4 ancient immortals, haha, long time no see. The 4 of you old geezers haven't died yet. Hearty laughter suddenly rang out on the battlefield. On the battlefield right now, the only person who dared to speak to the 4 ancient immortals in such a manner was naturally Elder Darkbone. Darkbone, you actually appeared here as well, and from the looks of it, you're standing on the side of my temporal temple. This is truly rare. Among the 4 ancient immortals, the ancient woman slowly spoke. This old man also doesn't wish to have anything to do with your temporal temple, but that disciple of mine has pleaded repeatedly, and this old man is helpless. Elder Darkbone said. No matter what, since you're on my temporal temple's side today, our temporal temple will naturally remember this favor, the weathered old woman said, and then turned her head. She looked at the experts of the three great saint realms. 3 great saint realms. A cold voice came out of the weathered old woman's mouth. You're the publicly acknowledged overlord of the divine beginning realm, but you've gone through so much trouble to kill a little guy who's only at the level of an immortal saint. Aren't you going a bit too far? Do you really think that our temporal temple has no one? Thanks, those 3 cowardly fellows from the 3 great saint realms. They actually dare to suppress our temporal temple while Lord Temple Master has been roaming the universe battlefield all year round. They are really bold. The fair-skinned boy let out a bewitching laugh. The actions of the 3 great saint realms over the past few years are indeed a little too much. The cold middle-aged man with white hair and white eyebrows said in a low voice. The simple words of the 3 men were like the words of a knife, stabbing into the hearts of the experts of the 3 saint realms. Indeed, Jian Wushuang was only an immortal saint, but what the 3 saint realms had done was a little too much. Well, let's talk about it later. Take the little guy named Heavenly Sword Marquis away from here first, and then we'll settle the score with the 3 saint realms later, the short hunchbacked elder said coldly. Chapter 33:10. Arrived in person. Little guy, come with us. The short hunchbacked elder glanced at Jian Wushuang, completely ignoring the experts of the 3 saint realms, the sorcerer god sect, and the 9-tailed clan. The 4 of them turned around, apparently intending to leave. The experts of the 3 saint realms looked at each other, but no one dared to stop them. Even the Star River Master, the Sky Nether Master, and the 8 Treasures Master were frowning, but they had no intention of stopping them. They knew very well that since the 4 ancient immortals had arrived, the experts present were no match for them. They could not stop the four ancient immortals from doing anything. The four ancient immortals wanted to take Jian Wushuang away, they could only watch helplessly. However, just when everyone thought that the four ancient immortals were going to take Jian Wushuang away and the battle ended, the four ancient immortals focused their eyes and raised their heads almost at the same time, looking at the void in front of them. A white light appeared out of nowhere. This white light was extremely dense and dazzling. It was like a huge white sun. It was warm and gave people an extremely gentle feeling. Soon after, a human figure slowly stepped out from within this white light. This was a barefooted bald man dressed in a white robe. This bald man's expression was gentle and gave off an incomparably amiable feeling. His eyes were also filled with kindness. He slowly stepped out from within the white light. There was not any earth-shaking might from his body. It was as if he was an ordinary person standing in the air. However, the appearance of this white-robed bald man caused the expressions of the four ancient immortals to become unusually solemn. Elder Darkbone, who was not far away, saw this white-robed bald man and his face could not help but darken. He actually came. When the many experts watching the battle around the battlefield saw this white-robed bald man's appearance and the unique feeling he gave them, they instantly understood the identity of this person. Saint Realm Master. There's no mistake. Only a Saint Realm Master can have such a unique and superior feeling. A Saint Realm Master is here. Oh my God. The entire world was in an uproar. When the experts from the life and death sacred region saw him, a hint of fanaticism flashed in their eyes. Then, they all knelt down and said, "Greetings, Saint Master." Saint Master. The Saint Master of the life and death Saint Realm, one of the three Saint Realms, had arrived in person. A Saint Realm Master? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly, but he was not too surprised. He knew very well that his perfect life level was a threat to the three Saint Realms. This time, the three Saint Realms did not hesitate to fight the Temporal Temple to kill him, so they must have been fully prepared. Moreover, Jian Wushuang had guessed that the Masters of the Saint Realm would be present in person. Now it seemed that it was true. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Four ancient immortals, long time no see. A gentle voice came out of the white-robed bald man's mouth. Every word of the white-robed bald man seemed to contain a supreme truth, which made people admire him. Including thunder. The four ancient immortals stared fixedly at the white-robed bald man. They no longer had the calmness they had before. Saint Realm Lords were supreme existences at the peak of the Divine Beginning Realm. In the Divine Beginning Realm, Saint Realm Lords were the representative of invincibility. Even the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, Temporal Temple Master, and Heavenly Ancestor did not dare to underestimate these three Saint Realm Lords in the Divine Beginning Realm. As for Saint Realm Masters, they naturally stood above ordinary Principles Masters. Even though the four ancient immortals were all peak existences of the six realms of the void, they were still far inferior compared to Saint Realm Masters. Seems like the secret hidden within this little fellow has already reached an earth-shaking level. He actually made you, a Saint Realm Master, personally appear. The aged old woman spoke in a low voice. This seat doesn't have any grudges with this little fellow. Unfortunately, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao must kill him. This seat is only following orders, the white-robed bald man said with a smile. Visit Ria Del. Me for extra chapters. Following orders. The surrounding people were startled, but they soon felt relieved. Although Saint Realm Masters were high and mighty, in fact, many people knew that the reason these three Saint Realm Masters were so powerful was mainly because of the power of the will of the heavenly Tao. The combat strength of these three Saint Realm Masters was actually not very strong. In terms of realms, they were probably only at the 6th level of the Void Realm. However, it was precisely because of the power of the will of the heavenly Tao that their combat strength far surpassed the 6th level of the Void Realm. Four ancient immortals, make it convenient for this seat to kill that little fellow. This way, this seat will be able to report back. The white-robed bald man smiled. His luck was very calm, as though he was really asking for it. I'm sorry. No matter what, this little fellow is also a member of my temporal temple. The four of us old fellows can't just hand him over to you. The old woman said. Oh, is that so? That's a pity. The white-robed bald man sighed lightly, but then, he raised his head and smiled warmly as well. Since the four of you won't allow it, this seat can only kill the four of you first before going to kill him. Hehe, that's easy for you to say, but I don't know if you have the ability to do so. The old woman sneered. Quilei, your tone is a little too arrogant. The cold middle-aged man said coldly, it's not like the four of us haven't fought with you many years ago. At that time, you couldn't do anything to us. But now, do you think we are afraid of you? Quilei, if you want to fight, we can accompany you. It just so happens that it has been many years since we last fought, the short hunchbacked old man said. Keek, I'm also very curious. After so many years, have you, a timid fellow like a mouse, improved in strength? The young boy strangely laughed. I will let you guys get what you want. The white-robed bald man laughed, but a fierce glint flashed across his eyes. Wong wong. An endless white light suddenly swept out from his body. This white light was warm and shone in the void, causing the entire world to be in a vast white environment. The white-robed bald man was in the center of this world. His body trembled slightly, and he directly rose to a height of 30 meters, an incomparably holy aura that caused people to worship him spread out from his body. The moment this aura appeared, it immediately caused countless experts in the surroundings to reveal terrified expressions. They could not help but look at the white-robed bald man. In their eyes, this white-robed bald man seemed to have transformed into the ruler of the world, causing them to involuntarily want to kneel down and worship him. Plop, plop. The weaker, undying saints in the surroundings of the battlefield had already knelt down, while the stronger immortal saints and the principal's masters were forcefully supporting themselves. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 3311. God Puppet Too Terrifying. Is this a Saint Realm Master? We don't even need to make a move. Just the formless power is enough to make us unable to resist. Even I can't help but want to kneel down. The Underworld Emperor's face was flushed red, he muttered. He was already a true Principal's Master. However, as he stood outside the battlefield, he had the urge to kneel down towards the white-robed bald man. One could imagine how much pressure the immortal saints who were weaker than him had to endure. It could be said that those who could still stand on the battlefield were already considered quite impressive. This lightning is still the same. He likes to use his power to oppress others, the young boy said coldly. After all, he is a Saint Realm Master. None of us are a match for him in a one-on-one fight. Let's use that move directly, the old woman said. All right. The other three nodded. In the next moment, the short hunchbacked old man waved his hand, and a golden light suddenly flashed and appeared. This golden light was actually a golden armored figure. It was over 10 meters tall, and its entire body was covered in golden armor. Only a pair of eyes could be seen, but it was currently closed. This golden armored figure appeared in front of the four ancient immortals. At first, it did not emit any aura or might, but after the four ancient immortals moved and directly merged into the golden armored figure, the golden armored figure immediately came to life, and his eyes, which had been closed the entire time, suddenly open. The instant he opened his eyes, a sharp golden light, like two golden lightning bolts, pierced through the air and shone on the white-robed bald man. At the same time, a terrifying aura that caused everyone present to feel suffocated rose up from the golden armored figure. The golden armored figure also rose up. When the many experts present felt this terrifying aura, their eyes were wide open. How is this possible? This aura is too strong, too strong. I feel that it's much stronger than the aura of a Saint Realm Master. How can there be such a powerful aura? Many gazes filled with shock and disbelief turned towards the golden armored figure. Even the experts of the temporal temple, who were on the same side as the four ancient immortals, could not help but be terrified. Is this the strongest technique of the four ancient immortals? Jian Wushuang stood not far behind the golden-armored figure and looked at the golden-armored figure in front of him, his heart filled with shock. In his perception, the aura of the golden-armored figure had indeed surpassed that of the white-robed bald man. The 4 ancient immortals were the 4 strongest war generals under the command of space-time. Back then, they had followed the Temporal Temple Master to create the Great Temporal Temple. And the Temporal Temple Master had specially created a joint attack array for them. The most important part of this joint attack array was to jointly control this golden-armored figure. It could be said that this golden-armored figure was indeed the strongest technique of the 4 ancient immortals. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Its power was naturally extraordinary as well. However, unlike the other experts present, the white-robed bald man merely smiled faintly when he sensed the aura emitted by this golden-armored figure. Ruler-level god puppet, the Temporal Temple Master really has nothing to say to the 4 of you. He actually gave this thing to you to control. Unfortunately, although this god puppet's power is world-shaking, the 4 of you are too weak. The last time we met, the 4 of you worked together to control this god puppet, but you could only use about 10% of its power. Now that so many years have passed, I wonder if your control over this god puppet has improved a little. The white-robed bald man still appeared relaxed and content. He was not affected at all by the powerful aura of the golden-armored figure. You'll know whether or not you've improved. The old woman's voice rang out from within the golden-armored puppet. As soon as she finished speaking, the 10-meter-tall golden-armored puppet suddenly leapt forward. Boom! The void beneath the golden-armored puppet's feet exploded, and its enormous body instantly appeared in front of the white-robed bald man. A dazzling golden light suddenly lit up. A golden spear appeared in the golden-armored puppet's hand. Shio! The sound of air being torn apart rang out, and the golden spear suddenly stabbed out explosively, bringing with it a destructive might. The spear stabbed out, and in an instant, the void in front of them shattered, scattering in all directions. A massive spatial black hole appeared in front of everyone, but what was shocking was that the diameter of this spatial black hole was it was hundreds of meters. How is this possible? Isn't this too exaggerated? Visit Ria.me for extra chapters. A space black hole with a diameter of hundreds of meters. This is the most stable third sky in the space of the divine beginning realm. Unbelievable. Countless exclamations sounded at the same time. Many people were frightened by the huge space black hole in front of them. A black hole in space could only be formed by completely shattering space. However, this was the divine beginning realm, not some special mystic realms or small-scale realms. Because of the existence of the heavenly Tao, the space here was extremely stable. For an ordinary principles master, even if he used his full strength, it would be very difficult to cause a piece of space to collapse. Only principles masters who had reached the 5th or 6th level of the void could barely tear apart space. However, even for principles masters who had reached the 6th level of the void, their full strength could only tear apart a piece of space at most. At most, a space hole of a few meters or even 10 meters would appear. This was already the limit. But now, a casual attack was able to create a space black hole of a few hundred meters in diameter. The power of this attack was too terrifying. Hehe, interesting. Seeing the golden spear thrusting towards him, the white-robed bald man merely smiled faintly. His entire body was bathed in white light, and his warm palm was stretched out at this moment. Without any fancy moves, his palm actually directly grabbed toward the golden spear. What? Such a terrifying spear, using your hand to grab it? What kind of joke is this? Everyone was stunned by this action of the white-robed bald man. Very quickly, the white-robed bald man's palm grabbed onto the tip of the golden spear. At the instant his palm made contact with the golden spear, boom, the sky collapsed and the earth split apart. Endless might frantically spread out in all directions. The space black hole that had originally formed a few hundred meters in size was instantly magnified by more than twice at this moment. Furthermore, an inconceivable devouring power also erupted from within the space black hole. It was crazily devouring everything around it. The entire Sohar Island had been torn apart due to the previous battle. However, at least the land was still there. Now, the apocalypse had arrived. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 33:12. Another one arrived. Boom. The power mercilessly bombarded the land below. The entire Sohar Island, the many landmasses that were still floating on the surface of the water, all crumbled at this moment. In the blink of an eye, the entire Sohar Island had already disappeared completely. At the same time, that shocking power also affected the surrounding void space. Retreat, retreat quickly, run quickly, or well die. This power is too terrifying, run quickly. Those experts who were close to the golden-armored god puppet and the white-robed bald man, Life and Death Saint Master, immediately retreated frantically. They were very clear that the battle between the golden-armored god puppet and Life and Death Saint Master had completely exceeded the scope of Principal's Master, and it was not something they could get involved in. Once they were affected by the shockwaves, the weaker Principal's Masters, it was very likely that they would be directly killed. Even the stronger Principal's Masters did not dare to easily withstand the aftershocks. In the center of that shocking power, the palm of the Life and Death Saint Master had already grabbed the tip of the golden spear. However, not long after they made contact, the Life and Death Saint Master let out a soft exclamation and immediately released his palm. At the same time, he took 2 steps back. Haha, it seems that this seat has been too careless. After so many years, your 4 ancient immortals' control over this god puppet has increased by quite a bit compared to before. Previously, you could only barely unleash 10% of its power, but now, even though you can only unleash less than 20% of its power, it's still very close. Life and Death Saint Master continued to smile warmly. Even though he had suffered a small loss because he had been too arrogant in the face-to-face confrontation, he did not mind it at all. Again, Life and Death Saint Master waved his hand. Originally, there was only white light pervading his body, but at this moment, a large amount of black light suddenly surged out. The black and white light were incomparably dazzling, and under Life and Death Saint Master's control, the black and white light perfectly merged together and formed a huge life and death picture. The white represented life, while the black represented death. Life and Death Saint Master pointed from afar. Bang! This huge life and death picture directly crushed towards the golden-armored god puppet. At this moment, everyone around felt unprecedented pressure. This pressure caused everyone present to be unable to breathe. Break! A stern cry was emitted from within the golden-armored puppet. Immediately, the power of the golden spear suddenly soared. It was clearly a long spear, but at this moment, it had directly transformed into a resplendent golden star. It also carried a power that far surpassed that of a Principal's Master as it collided against the life and death diagram. Bang! The collision between the two was still as earth-shaking as before. It was even more intense than the previous collision, but the result was completely different. After the collision, although the life-death pattern was pushed back, the golden-armored puppet was also pushed back immediately. Even the surrounding power and aura were weakened a lot. Obviously, the golden-armored puppet was crushed by the collision. Bai Xing, let's stall him. Take the little guy and go. The old woman's voice came from the golden-armored puppet. As soon as she finished her words, the golden-armored puppet attacked the Life and Death Saint Master again. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Go. Temple Master Bai Xing did not hesitate at all. As soon as they gave the order, the experts from the Temporal Temple surrounded Jian Wushuang and rushed toward the nearby void. Although the void was still confined by spacetime, it only prevented them from teleporting and teleporting. They could still escape normally. The experts of the 3 Saint Realms, the Sorcerer God Sect, and the Nine-Tailed Clan would not let them escape, so they immediately began to block them. However, with the presence of the super expert, Elder Darkbone, the experts of the Temporal Temple could run amok. No one in the 3 Saint Realms could compete with Elder Darkbone, As long as the people of the Temporal Temple could protect Jian Wushuang and help him break out of the spacetime confinement, he could use spacetime teleportation to leave. Kui Lei, the little guy is about to escape. Why aren't you worried at all? The old woman's voice sounded again from the golden puppet. Worried? Why should I be worried? The life and death Saint Master continued to smile. Do you really think the little guy can escape? What a joke. Hearing this, the 4 ancient immortals in the golden-armored puppet frowned. He, I'm afraid you don't know that I'm not the only one here. The life and death Saint Master said with a faint smile. As soon as he said this, the 4 ancient immortals' expressions changed drastically. Visit Ria Del. Me for extra chapters. In the void on the other side, Jian Wushuang, escorted by the Temporal Temple and Elder Darkbone, was about to break out of the spacetime imprisonment. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. It was a middle-aged man in purple armor, with his arms crossed and his body emitting endless demonic qi. The middle-aged man's face was cold, and his eyes were cold and aloof as if all living beings were ants in his eyes. The appearance of the purple-armored demon lord instantly made everyone in the Temporal Temple stop in their tracks. Even Elder Darkbone stopped in the void at this moment. Elder Darkbone raised his head and looked at the purple-armored demon lord, his pupils constricted. This person, the same feeling as the life and death Saint Master. Could it be another Saint Master? Many experts from the Temporal Temple looked at the person in front of them in shock. Greetings, Saint Master. The principals masters from the Flame Saint realm from the 3 great saint realms bowed fervently when they saw this person. From their greetings, they could instantly confirm the identity of this person. Flame Saint Master. As expected, another Saint Realm Master. Oh my God. The surrounding experts who were watching the battle were shocked again. 2 of the 3 Saint Realm Masters from the Divine Beginning Realm had arrived on the battlefield at this moment, and their goal was only for one person, an immortal saint, and that person was Jian Wushuang. Damn it. Temple Master Bai Xing's eyes darkened as he looked at Elder Darkbone. Darkbone, with your strength, can you fight against the Flame Saint Master? Fight. Elder Darkbone smiled bitterly. A master of the Saint Realm is a master of the Saint Realm after all. Although I'm confident that I can survive in his hands, it's impossible for me to fight him head-on. At most, I can only hold him off for a while. It's enough to hold him off for a moment. I've already received a message from the Hall Master. The Hall Master has already returned to the edge of the Divine Beginning Realm. With his use of time and space, he only needs 15 minutes at most to arrive here. Palace Master Bai Xing said seriously. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 3313, Bamboo Leaf Temporal Temple Master. Elder Darkbone was stunned. Temple Master? The experts of the Temporal Temple were overjoyed. Temple Master has returned to the Divine Beginning Realm? Jian Wushuang immediately looked at Temple Master Bai Xing. As far as he knew, Temporal Temple Master had been adventuring in the universe battlefield for a long time. The last time he came back from the universe battlefield was millions of years ago. The Palace Master has indeed returned to the Divine Beginning Realm. In fact, he had already decided to come back. It's just that his previous location in the universe battlefield was quite far from the Divine Beginning Realm. In addition, he encountered some things on the way, so he was delayed for some time. This time, after the collision with the 3 great saint realms, I sent a message to the Palace Master early in the morning, and the Palace Master returned as fast as he could, said Bai Xing. Palace Master. That's great. The Palace Master's strength is monstrous. If he comes, the 3 great saint realms will not dare to be arrogant. Right, as long as the Palace Master arrives, we don't need to be afraid of the 3 great saint realm masters. Many experts of the Temporal Temple were excited. The Temporal Temple Master had single-handedly created the Temporal Temple. He was the absolute overlord of the Divine Beginning Realm. Moreover, The temporal temple master was different from the 3 Saint Realm masters of the 3 great holy regions. The 3 Saint Realm masters had the power of the will of the heavenly Tao, which was why they had the strength that surpassed the principles masters. However, the temporal temple master, the heaven-cleaving alliance, and the heavenly ancestor had their own cultivation base that exceeded the scope of the principles masters. In terms of strength and ability, the temporal temple master was far stronger than the masters of the Saint Realm. This was also why it was rumored that a Saint Realm master would be inferior to an existence like temporal temple master. In the current situation, although there were already 2 Saint Realm masters in the 3 Saint Realms, as long as temporal temple master arrived, the 3 Saint Realms would not be able to do anything to Jian Wushuang. Temple master, it will take 15 minutes to get here. As for the Flame Saint Realm, Dark Bone, I can only hope that you can delay him as much as possible, Temple Master Baixing said. I'll do my best, Dark Bone said with a serious expression, but let me be clear. Although I'll try my best to stop the Flame Saint Master, I'll leave this place as soon as I'm under too much pressure and my life is threatened. Of course, we only hope you can do your best, but we don't dare to force you if you die, Temple Master Baixing said. Elder Dark Bone only helped Jian Wushuang because his disciple, Underworld Emperor, owed him a favor. However, there was a limit to this favor. It was already very rare that Elder Dark Bone was willing to help. Jian Wushuang and the people of the Temporal Temple did not expect him to risk his life for them. Flame Saint Master, long time no see. Elder Dark Bone looked at the Flame Saint Master in front of him. Dark Bone, are you sure you want to get involved in this? Flame Saint Master's gaze was cold as he glanced at Elder Dark Bone. I originally didn't want to get involved, but that disciple of mine owes this little fellow a favor. You also know that I've lived for so long, and it wasn't easy for me to take in such a disciple. Elder Dark Bone laughed. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Very good. Then this battle, I'll take care of you as well. Flame Saint Master said coldly, I'll kill Dark Bone. As for Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'll leave him to you. No problem. A cold voice suddenly sounded from the other side of the void. When everyone looked over, they found that a woman in blood-red clothes had appeared in the empty void. Although this woman in blood-red clothes was not considered very beautiful, the ruler-like temperament that she had had for a long time was enough to make people submit to her. Another Saint Realm Master? 3 Saint Realm Masters from the 3 great Saint Realms are all here. Thanks. This is a scene that is rarely seen in billions of years. The surrounding experts who were watching the battle had already become numb to the shock. All they could think about now was how fortunate they were to be here and be able to see a scene that was rarely seen in billions of years. This is bad. The hearts of the experts from the Temporal Temple jolted. Visit Riadel. Me for extra chapters. Everyone, although I have some tricks that can barely hold off a Saint Realm Master, I don't have the ability to deal with 2 Saint Realm Masters at the same time. Elder Dark Bone's voice became anxious. He was confident that he could survive if he fought against a Saint Realm Master alone. However, he was not confident that he could survive if he fought against 2 Saint Realm Masters at the same time. If the Temporal Temple needed him to fight against 2 Saint Realm Masters at the same time, he would not hesitate to leave because it was impossible. At this time, Jian Wushuang, who had been protected by the experts of the Temporal Temple, finally spoke. Senior Dark Bone, Jian Wushuang looked at Elder Dark Bone and said, "Don't worry, Senior. You just need to think of a way to stall the Flame Saint Master. As for Destruction Saint Master, leave him to me." Leave him to you? Elder Dark Bone was stunned. Many experts of the Temporal Temple also looked at Jian Wushuang in astonishment. A master of the Saint Realm, the most terrifying existence in the divine beginning realm, even an expert at the peak of the 6 void realms did not have the courage to confront a master of the Saint Realm head-on. Elder Dark Bone only had the ability to fight a Saint Realm Master because he had lived for too long and had too many tricks up his sleeve. That was why he had the ability to fight a Saint Realm Master for a short while. But now, Jian Wushuang, an immortal saint, said he would fight a Saint Realm Master. Although Jian Wushuang had displayed extraordinary strength and skills in the previous battle, it was still too incredible for him to fight a Saint Realm Master alone. Under the astonished and doubtful gazes of the surrounding people, Jian Wushuang flipped his hand and took out a purple bamboo leaf. At first glance, the purple bamboo leaf looked ordinary. It only had a special purple halo around its surface. However, the moment they saw the purple bamboo leaf, the experts of the temporal temple, their pupils constricted. Heavenly Sword Marquis, this bamboo leaf is. Temple Master Baixing looked at Jian Wushuang in shock. Because she had vaguely felt a suffocating aura from the purple bamboo leaf. The Heaven-Cleaving Alliance gave me this bamboo leaf. Jian Wushuang smiled. The Heaven-Cleaving Alliance had given him 3 things at once. 2 of them were made by Palace Master Shueyun and Palace Master Askance, which contained the magic power of the 2 Palace Masters. These 2 pearls had been used during the battle. The last thing was the purple bamboo leaf in Jian Wushuang's hand. It was also the most precious life-saving item among the 3. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.